Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Analog Recess. I am Jimmy.
I'm Tommy.
Awesome. And today we're going to be doing another movie review. Well,
Indeed.
we did a TV show review last episode.
We did. And in process of talk, before we started talking about Shogun, I was talking about, I went on a big rant and like gushing over Dune 2 that I just saw in the theaters just a day or two earlier. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yep.
Dune.
What
are you talking about?
So, yeah, we'll be talking about part 1 and part 2.
Indeed.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So, yeah, Dune, man. That first one came out in, what was it, 2020?
2020, during COVID.
Yeah, during
So everyone watched it on HBO Max, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were scared, like, Dennis Villanueva was really upset about that they did that because they were going to not, have all that money from the box office, to
Right.
try to break records or anything like that.
Right, and they had HBO had just done Christopher Nolan dirty with Tenet, which had come out just 4 months earlier, and did the same thing, straight to HBO Max and not the theaters.
Yeah.
So
it hurts like the whole box office.
yeah, yep.
Dennis
He's so good.
Villanueva.
What an incredible director. Let's talk about him for a second.
Yeah. Blade Runner, Arrival.
Forget that. Sicario 1 and 2, Day of the Soldado. Dude, I own both those movies. When I saw Sicario, the first one, I was like, oh my God, this is one of the best high-tension drug narco movies I've ever watched in my entire life. So good.
So Dune 1 came out. I checked it out pretty much like right when it came out on HBO Max, and it was really good. Really, really well done. The directing, the cinematography, the soundtrack was excellent. Hans Zimmer, who I love, we both love,
Yep.
is amazing with soundtracks, and he turned down working with Christopher Nolan in Tenet. He turned that gig down to do Dune.
No kidding.
That's why that new guy who did
that.
It was his first time working with Christopher Nolan.
Wow. By the way, that guy did great too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was really good.
So
hey, it worked for both of them.
Indeed.
The movie's based off a book by Frank Herbert. Came out in the 50s, 60s?
Late 50s, the counterculture time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yep.
And Brian Herbert, who's Frank Herbert's son, he continues that line of keeping continuity, but doing prequels and other
amazing lore with the series, like deep lore. Yeah.
Arrakis in the movie was filmed in Jordan and Abu Dhabi, so to give it that authentic like sand feel.
Yeah, I'm surprised it was probably way cheaper too, because we do have sand. They filmed side trivia with a twist. They filmed Return of the Jedi down in outside of Yuma. With the sand dunes that we have in like southeastern Arizona, right on the border of Mexico. But
we talked about that in like our second episode.
We did?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Cool.
So check out our other episodes.
Yeah.
I think it was the first one, I think it was the second one that won 6 Academy Awards.
Yep.
Just recently, and that's awesome. I think they
Swept.
The soundtrack got it too, and
Yep.
if I'm 100% sure that Hans Zimmer, that was only his second Oscar. Which is crazy.
Still, to have
crazy
2 is pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
As
I think you would have more.
Yeah. I mean, him and John Williams, right?
Oh yeah.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple terms that were used, Latin terms. So Bene Gesserit is Latin, means well done or well behaved, which I found interesting. Yeah. And there were some Greek Iliads. So the House Atreides. Atreides is son of Atreus in Greek mythology. So, yeah. I like how the author kind of uses old.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's smart.
We'll talk about it as we go along. Yeah.
And then the Kwisatz Haderach is also, it's off of a Hebrew word, which is very similar. It's Kwisatz Haderach, which means a miraculous journey between two distant places in a brief time.
Interesting.
Yeah. Fremen language, which might sound a little familiar, came up with by David Peterson. He was the guy who created the Dothraki language and the Valyrian in Game of Thrones.
No kidding.
Yeah, same guy. because when I was watching it, like when they were talking, I was like, man, it seems like
tell you
something
what,
like
man,
Khal Drogo would
This
say.
show never, the Dune movies never cease to amaze me. I'm learning tons of
Right?
like FYI stuff. Yeah.
I love trivia so much. So it's nice to go into like a rabbit hole and nerd out on some trivia, especially
sure.
when it comes to something this awesome.
Right.
But epic. Dune in the movie, it's the year 10,191 or something like that. But that's based off of not like BC. It's something to where they started time over again once
Correct.
interstellar travel started.
Right.
So if it were to be, if it was AD or BC, or actually AD, sorry.
Right.
It would be around 23,000 a year.
Right.
So that's like 20,000 years away from us right now.
Right.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Fun.
But, maybe one day international travel.
Nah, don't count on it.
Well, not in our lifetime.
We'll be dusted by a meteor long before that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's go.
In Dune 2, Austin Butler played Fade. Man, he really did good.
Crushed it.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Absolutely crushed it.
To me, though, I mean, I really liked the main character,
Timothy Shamalama Ding Dong.
Timothy Chalamet Ding Dong. Yeah, Timothy Chalamet was really good in it, but Austin Butler and Stellan Skarsgård were just amazing.
Crushed
as well.
it. Hey, man, Batista.
Yeah, he was good.
You know, good for him.
Austin Butler, who's the actor who plays Fade, he went to vocal training to sound like Stellan Skarsgård.
Right.
So he can.
I actually saw that in an interview. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that was cool.
He's a method actor too, so he gets really deep into his.
I'm looking forward to. He has an upcoming movie called The Bikers with Tom Hardy.
But there were some other people up for the role of Fade.
Who?
I guess Harry Styles. I know he's too skinny.
Boo.
But Austin Butler was thin before Dune. He went on like a 10-month like workout with trainers.
And
to get
Sting, when Sting played the role in the David Lynch movie, he was a stock too. Yeah. He was a little skinny dude. Yeah.
And then a kid named Ty Sheridan, who's been in other movies, I put him in the bottom, but he was up for the role as well.
Yeah.
It was cool.
But in the book, he's supposed to be a
15, I think.
Yeah, like a waif,
really
like a young boy fighter or psychopath. Yeah.
But Timothy Chalamet's, 28, 29 now. So, but he still looks like a baby.
I discovered him in the movie The King.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Yeah.
So good.
I remember him from Interstellar when he was a young lad.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Anya Taylor-Joy makes a cameo in the very end. Did you notice that?
I did not.
It's the sister grown up. So when
yes, right, yeah.
The waves come in.
Yeah,
I love her. She's such an awesome actress, and she's gonna be what's the new Mad Max movie?
Furiosa. She's great, and she was the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah,
she
was awesome.
Really good. Mm-hmm.
So there was some differences as well from Lynch's version to this version. Well, a ton actually.
Thank God.
Yeah.
By the way, I should mention I saw the premiere. I was in high school. I saw the premiere of Blade Runner, of Dune at UA5. That was in Scottsdale in high school, like sophomore, junior year. And when we left the theater, we're like, "What the f did we just watch?" Like that was pretty weird, So it doesn't. And the funniest thing is, I didn't feel like I was watching the books that I was reading currently at the time. It just, I don't know. It just seemed very David Lynchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, even in the Lynch versions, they, like you said, they called them the Harkonnens, but in the new version, the newer one, they call
Harkonnens.
Yeah.
Harkonnens.
So, not sure who's right.
I think
up for
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna. The director Denis Villeneuve. I'm gonna put my faith in him and say that Harkonnen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Speaking of Harkonnens, in the Lynch version, all the Harkonnens were red hair, like redheads. But the newer version, he made them all bald and sleek. Mm-hmm. Man, that scene where
that world building
pit.
Are you kidding me? Around the black hole, the black sun.
Cool the way they did
So cool.
Yeah. Even in the end of the movie too, they Villanueva did a salute to David Lynch.
Did he?
In Blue Velvet, which was
I saw that in the theater.
Yeah, it's like in the 80s. There was a scene where
Dennis Hopper.
no,
He's currently in the new television series called Fallout.
oh yeah, Fallout's great.
He's the dad in that.
yeah. Kyle MacLachlan.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
Great actor. Loved him in not Stripper, Showgirls. He's amazing in Showgirls. It's a must see.
So, anyways, what was I was saying? In Blue Velvet, Kyle MacLachlan, he found a severed ear. You remember that?
I do.
In the grass.
And
it was
the
crawling.
movie haunts me to this day.
Yeah.
So.
And it was crawling with ants.
Right.
So at the end of the Dune movie, the Baron, when they show him dead on the ground,
right,
he's got ants crawling around his ear.
Oh,
so
nice nod.
Yeah,
nice nod.
Cool.
Yeah, that was the fun trivia stuff. Hey man, now let's just gush about the movie itself. Not talking about anything in the past. Let's just talk about the movie, the plot, what we loved about it, why it's easily in my top 3 sci-fi movies, probably of all time. And I don't say that like willy-nilly. I'm serious.
It was really good.
It was so good.
Goosebumps at it a couple of times.
I'm not kidding. Yeah. If there's ever a box set like with a director's cut included, I'm likely to buy it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess they didn't get the green light on the second one until after the first one was
right,
because they didn't know how it was going to do.
I know, fingers were crossed.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of up in the air, but
as soon as it was like number 1 on HBO Max for a long time, and they're like, all right, let's go for the second. So what I heard too is that there were some parts because they wanted to end the first one with like an actual ending, not with like a cliffhanger.
Oh, I didn't know this. Really?
Yeah, because the end of the first one is when they kind of trek into the desert and go to where the Fremen live.
Right.
But they were supposed to already met where the Fremen were, and that was going to be the end. But they wanted to put it on a cliffhanger that way they could get greenlit for that second one.
God bless that they are going to film, or I don't know if they've started filming, but I know that the treatment, I think is what they call it, for the script has been completed for Messiah, which is the next continuation moving forward with this.
And then they'll start on like the storyboard and stuff like that.
Right, and then after Messiah, it's Children of Dune. So it's his, I don't know, we'll just leave it at that.
The way that, strike while the iron is hot, the way Hollywood does it now, like, Mad Max movies, they're always going to keep popular movies going. So the fact that this, Dune is killing it.
Yeah,
I don't see why not. They would greenlight every
I
single
think
one
I think the worldwide palette for something fresh and new from superhero movies and stuff like that, and Star Wars.
That was so saturated.
It's saturated, like drowned, like a sponge, like too much.
Yeah.
Too much. Yeah. And Dune is like a breath of fresh air in cinema right now. It really is. Kind of like the way Shogun was on television. Yeah. Just something new, something different. I know it's, they're redoing something from the past, but they're taking something from the past and making it much, much better with the cinematography, the storyline, everything else. It's really, really well done. Obviously, the Fremen feel as though Muad'Dib, a.k.a. Paul, is the Messiah, the second coming. Anyway, and there's a line by, we were talking about it at work the other day. What's the...
Javier Bardem.
Javier. That guy, he was great. So the first time I discovered him was No Country for Old Men. Yeah. And then the James Bond villain in Skyfall. He was great. Anyway, there's a line, a comedic little outtake during Dune 2 where Paul is trying to tell the Fremen that he is not the Messiah. And the one you just mentioned,
Javier Bardem.
Javier, he says the person who says they aren't the Messiah must be the Messiah. And then, Paul says it again. He's like, if he says it twice, then he really must be the Messiah. And that line is taken directly. And by the way, it's perfect for this movie. It's taken directly from Life of Brian, Monty Python, where that he was trying to say he wasn't the Messiah, and every time he said it, like the crowd, it's like, oh, If he says it a third time, he
He
really is the
definitely is.
Messiah. Like, so.
That's something the Messiah would say.
Yeah, that's something the Messiah would say, and that is Denis Villeneuve having a little laugh because the movies are similar, Life of Brian, and just different takes. You know, one's comedic and one's
Right.
sci-fi. But anyway, enough said.
I think that what's cool is that they kept the baby in the womb because
That is not in the book, and I thought that addition of the mother and the baby communicating and talking to each other. Honestly, I didn't think that would work when I first heard about it before going into the movie, and but then on the flip side, it was kind of weird we're going back to David Lynch, but kind of weird with the David Lynch movie. It's like the baby's born, all of a sudden it's like a little girl and like talking and stuff like that,
Right.
and that's how the book kind of was.
That's
You know,
the
so,
thing is-
and I liked this interaction much, much better. It's actually better than the book
and it's believable.
It is believable.
Not believable, but
because they've taken so much spice that the baby's like engulfed in spice and the
So
mother's engulfed in
knowledge.
spice.
yeah,
Yeah.
They said that.
We haven't mentioned the word spice in this entire
That's like
episode.
the whole name of the game in the movie.
That's the entire premise of this whole series is the spice must flow. So
So the little girl, Spice Girl.
she's not Baby Spice because there already was a Baby Spice. She was my favorite, by the way.
But and you might know this, but according to the book, is that she was born knowledge. Like she
Right.
was already,
Already
the
an adult.
equivalent of an adult knowledge-wise.
An adult Jenny Bezeret.
yeah, so
Like
super
like not even like next level Benny Gesserit.
Yeah.
Like
So I don't think that they could do that with a child actor. It wouldn't be believable.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't sell that. It would
Hollywood
seem
can't-
kind
well,
of
I mean,
corny and cheesy to me.
it worked out really, really well.
I thought that Zendaya did a really good job too.
She did.
She could
She's
put on
perfect.
a mean face so well. Like
Yeah. That was great. Special effects, great. Josh Brolin, amazing. So obviously, the relationship between Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan is obvious. So
Yeah.
they have, you
Very
can see
similar
you can see the
styles.
styles. They're
yeah.
similar too. Yeah. It's thank God for
epic.
thank God for those two directors in
yeah.
Hollywood right now. Seriously,
it
they
would
are
be terrible without those two. I mean, as far
Terrible.
as like that
Terrible.
kind of depth type of movie.
Yeah. So, looking forward to Dune Messiah, which is literally is going to pick up right where Dune 2 left off, with all the ships of the Fremen going off to massacre the rest of the universe. If spoiler alert, that's what they're doing. That's why it's kind of a hollow, sad ending. That they think the Messiah wants them to go out and conquer, and they will. It's gonna be exciting.
I think that's another thing too. Is I'm sidetracked, but in the book, the young girl is the one who actually kills the Baron, not Paul.
You know what? I haven't read the book in so long. I need to read it, but I know that was in the David Lynch movie, where
Yeah.
she pulled out one of his heart plugs
Yeah.
and he went floating off and fell into a worm.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think in the book,
I think it was that way.
Needle that they used to threaten when they put the hand in the box thing. I think she killed him with one of those. She used the gum jabbar, is what they call it. It's that little
God,
like needle.
You gotta love these names.
Yeah.
I mean, Herbert was so ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
That's another audiobook.
Yeah, you know, that's a rabbit hole. Those audiobooks are, you better have a day off
Yeah.
or a week off. Right. Yeah.
I know.
mean, let's talk about the special effects. My God. Dude, they were so good. It looked like a real world. It didn't like, I don't know what it is with Star Wars and Marvel movies over the last, like, it just feels like, this doesn't feel real.
Right.
It just doesn't feel real.
Because it's basically a green.
I know it's a green
Yeah.
screen, right? You know, with people wearing green out, like a green leotard.
Yeah, but this, they actually were in the dunes.
It
They were-
looks
yeah.
fantastic
Oh, yeah.
on a scale. I was so blessed that I got to see it in the theater too. Dune 2. Oh, it was great. Really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, so everyone check it out if you can.
Please.
Let us know what you think.
Yep.
So, Tommy, Speaking of, well,
it's funny. I'm seriously bonding. Absolutely amazing. I can't put it down. Play it all the time, especially now more than ever with my latest toy that's right behind us here. This is a little Marshall mini stack that every young man that's a Generation Xer that plays guitar has always wanted to have a true high watt, or not high watt, but high gain 80s-esque amp that's just dedicated to good old-fashioned rock and roll and heavy metal. I do have another Marshall amp over here, and that was my first tube amp over here off to the side. That's a Class 5, but that one is more like a early mid-60s Marshall, which is blues, early Eric Clapton, nothing too crazy. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to have a true Marshall. I can't go 4x12. It'll be bigger than this wall here, and I've played through those. Dude, where am I going to turn a 100-watt 4x12 Marshall in this little room? Impossible.
Blow the wall
down. My neighbors. I'd be evicted like instantly. This is a Origin. It's called the Marshall Origin 20. And it's a 20-watt, but it's done the way it's wired with the tubes is very similar to the other one over here. This already kind of sounds like this over here, so I don't need two of them. What I wanted to do is send it off to a guy named Jens Cruz, Kruse, in Southern California. And he only does, he does a lot of stuff. But he, with his company, his specialty is high gain 80s rock tones when you send in an amplifier. They'll rewire it, put new tubes in it, work his magic, and he sends it back to you as a modified Cruise in the corner of this. The website is called Cruise Control. By the way, it didn't cost that much, really. And so I purchased an amplifier, this Origin Marshall head from Musician's Friend, and didn't even have it come to my house. I kept it in the box and just sent it, after I purchased it, straight to his, where he builds all these amplifiers. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I get this thing back, and it is absolutely, it's so much fun, especially with this guitar, especially playing it through, the proper guitar with the proper amplifier, and it's truly remarkable. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, I can't put the guitar down now. This guitar and this amplifier, Jens Cruz is his name. It is, if any guitarists are out there and they're like, hey, can he do it to a little Fender Blues Junior? Absolutely. Go to the Cruise Control website, and he basically does that type of high gain 80s fun shred mods on basically any amplifier you want to throw at him. He'll be more, and he builds his own amplifiers too, so custom amplifiers. Anyway, going from this head, by the way, I should mention I got a smoking deal. The little cabinet is a Marshall SC112 1x12 speaker, made in England. Got a smoking deal on that. So Studio Classic is what SC stands for.
All right, well, awesome, Tommy. Thank you for that awesome display. You gonna play anything in this episode?
I will. I know I just did a little ditty there, but I've got the room. It's all Jimmy even said so. I've got it organized a lot better now to do videos. It's a lot easier for me now. So we kind of figured out lighting and volume and everything. So anyway, yeah, that'll do it.
Maybe I'll play a little something after this episode.
Deal. I promise.
Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Analog Recess. Please subscribe, hit that bell.
Instagram, too, if you want to see, little doodad. I have a nice Instagram account. It's strong.
I was getting there.
Oh, okay. I beat you to the punch. Sorry about that.
Subscribe, like, hit that bell, leave some comments. Check out Tommy on Instagram. Check Analog Recess on Instagram as well. And until next time,
Go shrimp.